Five-star wide receiver Tristan Keys flipped from LSU to Tennessee. Why and where do the Tigers go next? We'll tell you. It's Locked on LSU. Here we go.
You are Locked on LSU, your daily podcast on the LSU Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Okay, let's get it. It is Locked on LSU, your team every day. I'm your host, Matt Moscona. Thanks so much for making us your first listen. We're free, available wherever you get great podcasts. Of course, on YouTube as well, so please subscribe. As always, one of the fastest ways to help us grow is by leaving your comments below, so thank you sincerely for that. This episode is brought to you by Mazda. Just like there's more to every player, more dedication, more attention to detail, there's more to a Mazda vehicle. Stay tuned later in the episode for highlights in this week's Moving the Game Forward. Mazda. Move and be moved. So LSU got some disappointing news on the recruiting trail amid all the good news going on around the football program right now. But five-star wide receiver Tristen Keys, the number one wide receiver in the country for the class of 2026, flipped from LSU to Tennessee. By now, you probably heard that news. He's out of Hattiesburg, Mississippi. Again, five-star, number one wide receiver in the country. If you look at all the composite rankings, Keys is a guy that, well, everyone is after. So there's no sugarcoating this. It stings. In the composite, he's the number 7 overall player, regardless of position, the number one wide receiver, the number one player in the state of Mississippi. Rivals rates him as the 15th best player in the country, 24/7, the 4th best player, regardless of position. ESPN, the 10th best player, regardless of position. So you look up and down, and everybody thinks this guy's awesome and the best receiver at big, long, rangy guy, 6'2.5", 185 pounds. Again, a guy that everybody in the country wanted. LSU had him committed, and now for the second consecutive year, it was DeCorian Moore a year ago. Now Tristan Keys. LSU has had the number one receiver in the country committed, only to lose him. A year ago, DeCorian Moore flipped to Oregon when Phil Knight opened up the checkbook, and now it's Tennessee. So we'll get into some of what I've heard as to why, but each week we visit with Shea Dixon from On3, the Bengal Tiger, and I asked Shea specifically, why did Tristan Keys flip?
Tennessee had been recruiting him heavily for just as long as LSU, and I'll print the shirts. It's my motto in recruiting: watch what they do, watch what they do, not what they say. And he said, I'm committed to LSU. I'm firm. At the same time, he committed to LSU in March, and then he went on a wave of unofficial visits, and then he spent all of June on official visits to Tennessee, A&M, Miami, LSU. He was going to go to Bama and couldn't even fit it in. And then we hit that 2-month-long dead period, and I think Tennessee really ramped things up in a number of ways. He's got a high school deal with Adidas. That expires in December. I think that plays a small role in this one. And he's got some good relationships there, just like at LSU. And ultimately, I think that between conversations he had with his camp and those around him, that he felt like, all right, I can flip. And Tennessee kind of drummed it up as, hey, look, we just got the highest ranked commitment in the history of the program at receiver. So they're throwing that pitch around as well. And it stings. You've lost the number one wide receiver in back-to-back years from border states. But let me give you the good news, Matt. LSU never lacks for receivers, and Louisiana produces more receivers than anybody. So they've got the 2 best receivers in the state already committed, and we'll see where they go from there.
So Tennessee made a really strong push, obviously, for Tristan Keys. And I do have a little information with respect to NIL, third-party NIL, rev share, all that. I want to get to in our next segment. But I asked a follow-up to Shea there as to whether or not LSU is likely to pursue another wide receiver in this class. Remember, as you look at it right now, LSU already has had the best wide receiver class in the country by far. Tristan Keys, the number one wide receiver in the country. Jabari Mack out of Destrehan, the number 8 wide receiver in the country, committed to LSU. Kenny Darby, another top-tier prospect, the number 31 wide receiver in the country, a high 4-star, number 195 nationally, was committed. And then you look at the guy, like LSU had another wide receiver committed for this class out of New Orleans at McDonough 35, Ja'Kai Anderson. And Ja'Kai Anderson is ranked nationally number 366, the 56th best receiver in the country. Well, Ja'Kai Anderson was the 4th highest rated receiver commit in LSU's class. Remember, when you had Tristan Keys, you had Kenny Darby, and you had Jabari Mack. Well, Keys, Mack, Darby. Ja'Kai Anderson was the 4th highest rated receiver in LSU's class. He flips to SMU. He's the number 1 receiver in SMU's class. Well, now with Anderson flipping and Keys flipping, you're left with 2 receivers. So I asked Shea, are the Tigers pursuing other receivers now to buoy this class?
I think they do, Matt. Yeah, I can't give you the exact name because I think there's going to be a chance for them to watch these guys for about a month, 3 to 4 games as seniors, and then say, okay, let's make a move on this guy or that guy. But at the same time, which is no shocker, some of these guys on the team are getting older, and they're going to need to go into the portal. And, much like they have in recent years, they'll grab a guy or two who ends up being an impact player on the team. I mean, I think people forget Aaron Anderson and Xavier Thomas were probably your 2 best receivers this weekend. They're both transfers. You just presume that they're from Louisiana and that they were always here, and that wasn't the case. They went to other SEC schools. So I think they'll look for a high school receiver to add to this, but also then look back into the portal.
If you're wondering, if you look at the industry composite, there's not an uncommitted receiver in the top 250. As a matter of fact, as I scroll it, I keep looking for the top ranked uncommitted prospect. And here you go. I guess it's number 251, Aiden Knox out of Clinton, Mississippi, the 251st receiver. He's the national prospect number 1,728. The bottom line is LSU ain't dipping that far down the list to look for a receiver. So if they get a receiver in this class, another one, it's going to be a flip from somewhere. And with an opportunity to play at a place like LSU, that's a wide receiver factory with Cortez Hankton, his ability to identify talent and recruit it and develop it, yeah, LSU is certainly an attractive spot. The other thing I'll say is keep in mind, this is why this is a big need for LSU right now. Chris Hilton's a senior. He's out of eligibility. Aaron Anderson's out of eligibility. Xavier Thomas, out of eligibility. Nick Anderson could return, but likely to go pro. Barian Brown, out of eligibility. That means when you talk about guys who have eligibility to return next year, Kyle Parker, Teron Francis, Kylan Billiot, Jelani Watkins, and the guys you have currently committed in this 26 class with Jabari Mack, Kenny Darby, and whoever else you add. So LSU is very likely going to go into the portal for receivers. Now, LSU is never lacking for receiving depth and talent. Even with Hilton and Anderson and Xavier Thomas and Kyle Parker, they still went in the portal and added Barian Brown and Nick Anderson. So LSU will have the ability to go into the portal and add key guys with experience via the portal. But Brian Kelly always says he wants to recruit through the high school ranks, develop, and supplement through the portal. Well, I'm going to tell you, Teron Francis, who's a freshman from Edna Carr, had probably a handful of the most impressive plays of any receiver in fall camp this year. He's just not going to play because of all the guys ahead of him. I think Teron Francis, whose nickname, by the way, is Manchild, is going to be an awesome player at LSU. I think he's next. Like, he's the next great one. Remember, I said that. Mark the tape. But you still need depth, and you need numbers, and you need options. And LSU's thin on those based on who you're likely to lose, who you're certain to lose, who you're likely to lose as well, and now who you're not bringing in. This is a big loss for LSU with Tristan Keys flipping to Tennessee. So Brian Kelly and his staff are going to have to supplement that receiver position, probably with another high school signee, certainly with a player in the portal as well. So what did it cost Tennessee to get Tristan Keys? I have an idea. I'll tell you next. It's Locked on LSU, your team every day. Are you still paying full price for gas? Stop leaving money behind. Get real cash back every time you fill up with the free Upside app. Simply download the free Upside app in the App Store or Google Play right now and start earning cash at the pump today. Use my limited time promo code football and get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first fill up. You could make up to $300 a year just from buying the gas you already needed. At first, thought it was too good to be true, but it's totally legit. Real people are getting paid just to make their daily commutes, and you can too. Plus, you can cash out anytime to your bank account, to PayPal, or to an e-gift card for Amazon or other brands. Don't let this offer drive on by. Download the free Upside app now and use my limited time promo code football for a limited time 25 cent per gallon bonus. That's promo code football. Offers vary by user and location. Go to upside.com for terms and conditions. Today's show is also brought to you by our friends over at Mazda. This is Mazda's Moving the Game Forward, brought to you by those who believe it's not just about playing the game, it's about redefining it. Because these moments do more than win. They push what's possible. They remind us to go the extra yard, shift into that extra gear, and keep moving the game forward. So, when we talk about the highlight that defines LSU on Saturday at Clemson, South Carolina, how could it be anything other than Trey Green's game-winning touchdown reception in the fourth quarter for the Tigers, absolutely mossing a future first-round pick in Terrell and bringing down a touchdown that put LSU ahead for good. So going forward, no matter what, or even a post-game interview that had positive outlook, you know what keeps fans moving forward. That's what keeps fans and players alike moving forward, always chasing the next great moment. When you follow what moves you, the unexpected is only the beginning. And just like there's more to every highlight, there's more to a Mazda vehicle. Mazda, move and be moved. Anytime you see a story where a five-star prospect flips, people are always in this culture going to ask, okay, well, how much did it cost? And I feel like I have a pretty good handle on this. And I will tell you what I've heard about Tristan Keys. But I want to remind you as I sort of set the stage for this. And if you're an everydayer, shout out, you've probably heard me mention this before, but I'm going to say it again. So back in July of 2021, when NIL went live, it's hard to remember this context because we live in the here and now and we forget what things were like 4 years ago. Well, when NIL went live, people were still very uncertain what NIL was going to be. There weren't teams putting 15, 18, 20, 25, $40 million roster budgets together with collectives. People were still trying to figure out what NIL was going to look like. And ultimately, collectives formed, fundraising happened, and then NIL really became pay for play. And now the adjustment from intercollegiate athletics in the NCAA is they have a clearinghouse via the House settlement. There's revenue sharing and true third-party NIL, which we'll see if it actually works, if it comes to that, or if rich boosters continue to circumvent the rules and find ways to dump boatloads of cash to eager young players to come to their school. That's likely what's going to happen. But in any event, in 2021, when NIL began, I did an NIL podcast with Jonathan Pixley of Matchpoint. You might remember Matchpoint was a Baton Rouge-based business, and the objective was via this app to match athletes with brands. They could both go on the app, state their intentions, and then they would match on the app, and they could do brand deals together. And as a way to promote their organization, we did an NIL podcast. I hosted it with Pix. And because there was still not a lot of information, we're really the only NIL podcast, we got every guest you could imagine. We talked to John Ruiz, the billionaire booster at Miami. We talked to athletic directors, head coaches, heads of collectives. People wanted to be out front and tell their NIL story. Athletes. We talked to everybody on that podcast. And it got me really plugged into the NIL world. So as this has continued to evolve and advance, I've just had a lot of very good sources for information, not just at LSU, but all over the NIL landscape as a result of what we did 4 years ago. I might remind you that I was the one who broke the news about Bryce Underwood getting $12 million from Michigan. Go look at my tweet. And by the way, It has not been disputed. It has been largely accepted that that's the number Bryce Underwood got. Nobody has disputed it because that's the number Bryce Underwood got. The founder of Oracle gave him $12 million to flip from LSU. And LSU's number was 1.5 per year. That's what LSU was into Bryce Underwood for. I've explained to you many times how LSU was able to build this portal class. They had $1.5 million for Bryce Underwood. They were a tick below $1 million for both Jakeem Stewart and Cade Phillips. When both of those guys, when Cade Phillips slipped to Texas, when Stewart picked USC, LSU had they had ticked up their offers above $1 million for both those guys, right at about $1 million for Phillips. It got to about $1.2 million for Jakeem Stewart. And ultimately, they couldn't match what those other schools, or wouldn't match what the other schools were offering. So they didn't. And they took all that money and dumped it into the portal class. So all that to say, I've disclosed numbers to you. I'm willing to do it when I'm confident I have the absolute right number. And I'm confident I know what happened here with Tristan Keys as well. LSU's offer for Tristan Keys was right at $1 million. Right at $1 million. Tennessee offered $1.5 million plus a vehicle and lodging. It's a pretty good offer. That's a hard offer to turn down. If that was my kid, I'd probably tell him, hey, SEC school, great tradition, play in front of 100,000 people in the Southeastern Conference, get an extra $500,000 per year, car, lodging, all that stuff. Makes a lot of sense. I don't blame him at all for flipping. And by the way, if you're an LSU, but if you're a Tennessee fan watching this, you should not be embarrassed or push back about that at all. You should be thrilled that your school, your boosters, put together a package to get the number one player in his position in the country. That's awesome. That's how the game is played now. Similarly, if you're an LSU fan and you're looking at that going, oh, well, they just bought the guy. I'd like to remind you that, LSU fan, that you just went to Clemson, South Carolina and won a game where half of your starters were transfers. Braylon Moore, Josh Thompson, Berrien Brown, Pyburn, Peyton, Bernard Gooden, Mansoor Delane, who just won National Defensive Player of the Week from the Bednarik Foundation, to Marcus Cooley, AJ Halsey, transfer. You just went and bought the best transfer class in the country. The reason you right now are ranked number 3 in the country and a legitimate chance to win the SEC, go to the playoff, and win a national championship is the transfer class that you just bought. Okay, so they know, like, there's no pointing fingers. There's just I am all 100% for every student athlete getting whatever dollar amount they can get. But I'm illustrating this for the LSU fan watching to make you understand every school is ultimately going to have a budget and they're going to price things appropriately as they see fit. Could LSU a year ago have gone higher for Jakeem Stewart? They stopped at $1.2 million. Southern Cal got to $2 million. For LSU, they looked and said, is it really worth giving another $800K for a freshman defensive lineman who, by the way, is a reclass, so really is a year younger, who's probably not going to make an impact on this team as a freshman? Or should we take that money and go get Jack Pyburn, who's a 3-year starter in the SEC, going into his 4th year as a grown man, strong as an ox, and bring that guy into our program for 1 year? What's a better use of those funds? I think we can probably agree on the answer. Or, and again, that's just the difference. I'm talking about, because Pyburn didn't get 7 figures from LSU, but they could take that money, that $1.2 million, and go get multiple players that can help you win now. So it's all in how you choose to allocate those funds. And I trust implicitly Austin Thomas and the staff he's built to move the pieces on the chessboard appropriately to make sure the funds are allocated by position so that you are maintaining and managing your roster appropriately. It's hard to argue when you look at what in a calendar year they've done from where they were a year ago with a roster that cost them $5.5 million to a roster today worth, as Brian Kelly said, $18 million, and a team that is very clearly among the most talented in the country and eyeballing a potential championship run. So LSU's got to go get help at receiver. It's not going to be Tristan Keys. And the other tidbit I'll tell you is that the day Tristan Keys flipped to Tennessee, Miami was visiting with Tristan Keys. And I'm not telling you Miami because it was a dead period, but the way these things, everybody has third parties and different people who work, people who were not bound by NCAA rule were visiting with Tristan Keys. I don't think that one's done. Don't be surprised if Miami makes a push for Tristan Keys before it's all said and done. Just file that one away. All right. One guy LSU added via the portal who had a massive impact, Mansoor Delane. Mansoor Delane met with reporters on Wednesday and actually raved about another one of his teammates. Can't wait for you to hear this. It's next. Locked on LSU. Your team every day. Man, the Moscona household loves them some DoorDash. It's almost the weekend. Time to look back, crown this week's MVP on Who Delivered, powered by DoorDash. Just like you can win every Saturday with DoorDash streaks, saving more every time you order, these players delivered when it matters most. So let's break it down. For LSU, I already talked about Trades Green. So how about we talk about Harold Perkins delivering in a big way? The big sack in the first half, the pressure at the end of the game on the final play, which forced the throwaway by Cade Klubnik. When the pressure was on, Perk came through, no hesitation, no delay. And if you've been watching week after week, that performance year after year wasn't a fluke. Harold Perkins is on a streak. And just like Harold Perkins delivered for LSU, DoorDash delivers your Saturdays. With DoorDash streaks, you save every Saturday you order. Stack it up all season. You could save up to $250, including $100 in DoorDash credits. Order this Saturday. Keep the streak alive. Fuel your game day only with DoorDash. Terms apply, promo period through 11/18. And you will love DoorDash. Matter of fact, I DoorDashed roly-poly to the office today earlier for lunch. You'll love it. It's only with DoorDash. Again, terms apply, promo period through 11/18. And thrilled to tell you about our friends at Our Lady of the Lake, who've been absolutely fantastic partners, not only of ours, but also of the LSU Tigers. Our Lady of the Lake, championship health partner of LSU athletics. The same expert care trusted by LSU is ready when and where you need it. You can trust Our Lady of the Lake. When performance matters, trust the team behind the Tigers. Trust Our Lady of the Lake, whether it's sports medicine, elite heart care, stroke, cancer, pediatrics. Our Lady of the Lake and their team goes the distance. The Tigers count on them for championship level care, and so can you. Excellence in sports medicine. It's not just for athletes. It's for every patient that they serve at Our Lady of the Lake. And this year, they have just improved at the Franciscan Missionaries of Our Lady Health System more than $250 million in capital expenditures, investing in the future of our region's healthcare with projects including a major ER renovation at the Regional Medical Center, new observation beds at the Livingston campus, a medical office building at the St. Elizabeth campus, and a significant rejuvenation of their adult and adolescent mental health facilities. It's Our Lady of the Lake. Learn more at ololrmc.com/LSU. Our Lady of the Lake and LSU. Together, we roar. Congratulations to Mansoor Delane, LSU transfer cornerback, who on Wednesday was named the Bednarik National Defensive Player of the Week. And on the day he was named the National Player of the Week, Mansoor Delane also met with reporters, and he sort of underscored in his meeting with reporters why you should feel so excited about this team.
It was just a step, and the main goal. And I feel like you can't really get caught up into, just one victory like that because, yeah, it's a great win for the program, but that's not the goal that, we're out here aspiring for. Because if you're aspiring to win at Clemson, then you're going to come in today complacent, and you're not looking to get better or whatnot. So if your goal is to win a championship, you're always going to have that mindset to keep going, keep pushing yourself to be better. And like I said, this week we on LA Tech, so Clemson in the past, and we're ready to keep on the road to national championship.
They are not in any way buying their own hype. They are very much locked in and committed to winning a championship. And the 1-0 mantra, you have a veteran team. And another thing about this group of transfers, and Josh Thompson said it as well when he met with reporters, that he knew this was going to be a special transfer portal class, a special roster, which is why he wanted to be here. And Delane said the same thing.
I think I seen it when I was in the portal. I'm seeing commitment after commitment. I'm like, oh, this looks like a good little spot for me. And then obviously knowing what was already coming back with Nussmeier and Perk and, kind of knowing these Witt and just these different pieces coming together, I'm like, it just makes no sense for me not to come here. So, and then when I got here, everything lived up to it. The mindset, it's a championship team, and I want to be part of it.
And one more from Mansoor Delane. He was asked his impressions of true freshman DJ Pickett in his college debut.
I just see, composure. Moment wasn't too big for him. Coming in there, and a lot of freshmen can't do that. A lot of coaches don't trust freshmen to go out there and big games like that. But, again, that just speaks to DJ, how he carries himself, things he does off the field. He doesn't act like a freshman. Sometimes I forget he is a freshman. So, really just proud of that guy and look to see a lot more from him this season.
DJ Pickett played 25 snaps for LSU. 25 snaps. He was targeted one time. Most coaches, when they see a freshman cornerback on the field, they're like, let's go after that guy. 25 snaps. Clemson and Kate Klubnik, fifth-year senior quarterback, threw at DJ Pickett one time, and it was an incomplete pass. Oh, yeah. Ceiling is very high, and the future is bright for DJ Pickett. And the very short-term future for this LSU Tigers team is bright as well. All right, that'll do it for us here on Locked On LSU. Hey, college football fans, Locked On and Fire TV are presenting College Football Kickoff. Catch College Football Kickoff every Thursday throughout the season. It's only on Fire TV. Make sure you check it out. Okay, that'll do it for us on today's episode of Locked On LSU. If you're on podcast, please subscribe on your favorite podcast app. Rate us, leave a review. If you're on YouTube, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell so you're notified whenever we post a new video, and let a friend know they love the Tigers. We got you every single day for Locked On LSU, your team every day.